بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد قال الله عز وجل في كتاب العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام خصلتان من كانتا فيه كتبه الله شاكرا وصابرا ومن لم تكونا فيه لم يكتبه الله شاكرا ولا صابرا من نظر في دينه إلى من هو دونه ونظر في دنياه إلى من هو فوقه فأسف على ما فاته منه لم يكتبه الله شاكرا ولا صابرا ومن نظر في دينه إلى من هو فوقه فاقتدى به ونظر في دنياه إلى من هو دونه فحمد الله على ما فضله به كتبه الله شاكرا وصابرا وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام ثلاث منجيات وثلاث مهلكات أما المنجيات فتقوى الله في السر والعلانية وقول الحق في السخط والرضاء والقصد في الغنى والفقر وأما المهلكات فهوى متبع وشح مطاع وإعجاب المرء بنفسه وهي أشدهن أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. My dear brothers and sisters, it doesn't matter where we are on our journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of us may be entering into the fold of Islam. Some of us may be practicing Muslims. Some of us may be very far along, like the Shaykh who just spoke before me with a beautiful voice. It doesn't matter where we are on this journey. The most important question that should be on the minds of every single person along this journey, that this question should always be present on our minds at all times. And if from this conference we are confident enough to start asking this question, not even answering this question, just start asking this question, I believe this conference is a successful conference for all of us. This question has to be, what will it be like when Malakul Maut comes to take my soul? In those final moments, what will my state be? We plan so much and prepare so much to live, but we forget to prepare in the manner we're going to die. And that's what people before us did. لا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. This was the way Allah speaks about it. وَوَصَّى بِهَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ بَنِيهِ وَيَعْقُوبُ. Allah doesn't say Amar. Amar means command. Wasa means wasiyya, meaning when someone's leaving this world, they give you that last will. You want to take, it's from mercy. And you want to take responsibility, take the responsibility to fulfill that. It's not just a command, an order, amara. No, it's wasa. It's love. What? لا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Prepare for those last moments before you leave this world. Every single Sahabi, they prepared, they planned their death. Literally, they're planning their death. That I want to die like this. The people of Gaza today are showing us husnul khatima, individually and collectively. All of them, whether you see a child, whether you see a mother, whether you see a sister, whether you see a community of people, we are all confident, knowing that they all died a good death. Are we confident that I will die a good death? Because Allah is not going to judge us by the way we live. It is but the state that we die in that Allah will judge us by. The Sahaba, Umar ibn Khattab anhu, is asking and begging Allah, oh Allah, he's planning his death. You know how we buy a house, we plan, the plant's gonna be here, the curtain's gonna be like this, the windows are gonna be like this. They're planning their death. Oh Allah, I want to die as a shaheed, and I also want to die in the city of your Habib. Shaheed and Habib, I want both of them. One of my father's friends, he used to pray for 40 years, he prayed Fajr and Isha in Masjid Nabawi. He used to say salam to the Prophet ﷺ every morning and every evening. I asked him, what dua do you make? He said, I make dua every single day. Oh Allah, let me be buried next to a Sahabi in Baqiyah. Planning where his grave is. Where do you want your grave to be? Where do I want my soul to be taken? How do I want to be in that moment when my soul is taken from my body? Planning that for 40 years. He passed away a few years ago and he's buried right next to Halima Sa'adiyah. My teacher, his name is Sulaiman Banori. His teacher's name is Yusuf. His father's name is Yusuf Banori. His father's name is Sheikh Adam Banori. These are from Ahl Bayt. Sheikh Adam Banori his family came from Medina to Baghdad to Afghanistan, and they settled in a place called Banor in Punjab, in India. Sheikh Adam Banori used to make dua all his life. Oh Allah, I want to be buried at the feet of Uthman bin Affan. I want to be buried at the feet of Uthman bin Affan. Oh Allah, I want to be buried there. History cannot be denied. Facts cannot be denied. Brothers and sisters, when he passed away, this young man, very simple man who did not even have money for Hajj, someone gave him money for Hajj, got on a boat from India, came to Hijaz, went to Medina, died in Medina, and was buried at the feet of Uthman bin Affan anhu. Their last moments is when they said, Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba. Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba. Wallahi, I am successful. When Ali bin Abi Talib gets out of his house, waking people up for Fajr Salah, he turns around and he sees a man standing there with a dagger and he stabs him. He doesn't run away. He's not crying. He's saying, oh Allah, I'm successful. Abu Darda, he says something so interesting. He says, imagine yourself being in Medina and you see a person's body being placed in front of the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet comes out of his house and he performs janazah. And then this person's body is carried to Baqi' and the Prophet is carrying this person's body. And then this person's body is placed in the grave and the Prophet ﷺ is sitting next to the grave. Abu Darda, he says, what do you think was on the minds of every single person who witnessed this? Every single person who witnessed the Prophet performing janazah, carrying the janazah to the grave, sitting next to the grave, placing the body in the grave, everybody was thinking the same thing. Ya laytani kuntu makana. Oh, I wish I was in that place. Oh, I wish I was that person. Oh, I wish I was in Gaza, became shaheed today. Oh, I wish I could have been in the hospital and done something today. This is what they were thinking. Abdullah bin Mas'ud, he says, in the night of Tabuk, I went to guard the tent of the Prophet ﷺ. I get to the tent and he's not there. So I get very anxious. I run around looking for where the Prophet ﷺ is. I see a light from a far distance. So I start running towards the light. He says that I get there, as I get closer, I see two men sitting on top of what looks like a grave. I said, subhanallah. I get closer and I see the Prophet ﷺ in the grave holding a person's body and hugging this person and saying, oh Allah, I love him, so you love him. Oh Allah, he pleased me, so you please him. And he said, I'm looking at this person and the Prophet is in the grave with him, placing him in the grave. And the last thing this person's body touched was the body of the Prophet ﷺ. And I look on top of the grave and Abu Bakr anhu, and Umar anhu are both on top of the grave helping the Prophet ﷺ. I see these three great men burying this shaheed who became a shaheed at night. His name was Abdullah. Abdullah bin Mas'ud, he says, Wallahi, as soon as I saw it, I started crying. I said, oh Allah, I wish I was that deceased. That Abu Bakr and Umar are on top of the grave. The Prophet is inside the grave and I'm shaheed in Tabuk. I wish I was that person. So this is the question that we all have to be asking ourselves and preparing for, is what's going to happen to me in those last moments? Today I'll leave you with 3 tips. If you and I follow these 3 prophetic tips, then I am confident that we will not die in any condition in which we're not proud of and confident of. I am confident of that. And trust me, my youngest brother Abdul Rahim, rahmatullah alayhi, passed away 2-3 years ago. Having a good death, it makes it so comforting for your family. Nobody wants to associate with somebody who had a very bad death. A death in which they're partying, or a death in which they're overdosed in drugs. May Allah protect all of us, say Ameen. And our children. If someone told you, I'm standing in front of you today, if someone told you 20 years later that Abdul Rahman Wahid was in Medina praying Salah in Rawdah and he passed away in Sajda, subhanAllah, you would be like, yeah, you know what, I remember that person. you would be proud to associate with somebody who had a good death. In our families, we have people who had a very, my uncle, my grandmother, my grandfather passed away on the 27th night of Ramadan. We speak about it for the rest of our life. And those who don't have that type of death, we kind of just move on. So if you want it to make it easy for your loved ones to move on after you leave from this world, have a good death. Those who are picking up their children in Gaza right now, trust me. My father, when he was told that his son passed away, he was told by a person from Palestine. And he told my father, I am not sure. لا أدري. نهنيك أم نعزيك. Wallahi, I'm not sure. Should I congratulate you or should I pay my condolences to you? You are the father of a shaheed. You're the father of a hafiz of the Quran. You're the father of a person who studied 70 years and became a scholar. And he passed away after teaching Quran while in the service of his mother in an accident. He's a shaheed. I am not sure if I should congratulate you or should I give you condolences. This is the sentiments that are being passed around in Gaza at the moment. Oh wow, subhanAllah, you're the father of a shaheed, mother of a shaheed. So I'll give you 3 important tips. If we follow these 3 tips, inshallah, we will have a beautiful death. And I'll start with a tabi'i, sahabi, and then the Prophet ﷺ. 3 statements. Very simple statements. I will start with a man by the name of Abu Hazim. His son, Abdul Aziz, his name was Salma bin Dinar, a great tabi'i. His son passed away on the night of Jum'ah, praying tahajjud in Masjid Nabawi in Rawdah, and he passed away in the last sajda. His son, his name Abdul Aziz. This is his father, Abu Hazim. He used to say, كل عمل كرهت الموت لأجله فاتركه اليوم. Anything that you would not feel comfortable doing while dying, stop doing it today. Anything. Stop asking the question, Sheikh, is this halal or haram? Is this okay or not? No, ask yourself, are you comfortable doing this while dying? If the answer is yes, then continue doing it. If the answer is no, then start the process of stopping. You can't stop right away, I understand that, but start the process. Begin that process of stopping. Are you okay? I'm going to give you an example. Are you okay that maut comes to you and you're not talking to your parents? Death comes to you and you're not talking to your parents. You shouldn't be okay with that because my brother passed away and it's the loved ones, the blood relatives who arrange the funeral, who do the janazah, who bury them, and then they're the ones who stay there the most. I go to the cemetery all the time. When you're sitting there, 99% of the people who are visiting, those who are in the graves, are blood relatives. Are you okay that you're not talking to your parents and you pass away in that state? You shouldn't be okay with that. It's not worth it. Are you okay that you're having a fight with your sibling, your brother or your sister, and then you pass away like that? Wallahi, I remember in COVID, one of the most difficult situations to be put in is to speak to someone who lost their husband or wife or child right after a fight they had between each other. Like the wife and the husband, this happened multiple times. May Allah protect our relationship. Say Ameen. They had a small argument. The husband left, got into an accident. Now the wife is regretting the fact that she had this argument. I was in New Zealand right after the massacre in Christchurch. 3 days later, I was there for 4 days. Wallahi al-Azim, the 2 people that were the most difficult people to give condolences to comfort. One was the person who was praying salah in Jum'ah like this. He was praying. There was a person praying next to him. And as soon as this person heard a shooter come into the masjid, this person broke his salah, jumped out of the window to survive, while the person next to him kept his hands tied in salah, just grabbed his son just to be honored to be shaheed with his son. Did not break his salah. This person's family, when we went to their house, they were serving us sweets because they were so happy that my son and my grandson on one day, on the day of Jum'ah, while praying Jum'ah, were shaheeds. What an honor. While this person who jumped out of the window, he's having a survival guilt now. That why didn't I stay? Look at all the shuhada. I could have been one of them. So to give that person comfort was so difficult. And the other person to give comfort to that was difficult was a brother who just got into a fight. It's not worth it. The beef isn't worth it. Wallahi, I'll tell you. It's not worth it. Nothing is perfect in this world. Nobody is perfect in this world. No situation is perfect in this world. Our job is to just be survivors. Be survivors. We have to survive this world. We're not people of dunya trying to make it to Jannah. We're people of Jannah surviving dunya. There's a huge difference. Why are we confused? We're not people of dunya trying to make it to Jannah. We are people of Jannah surviving dunya. The people in Gaza are people of Jannah surviving dunya. So what happens now? In the mode of survival, you just eat whatever you can eat. You help whoever you can help. You don't get involved with like, oh, I gotta go have fun over there, do this, do that, because you have a survival mindset. We just gotta survive this dunya and just get to akhirah, that's it. So a brother who drives up to the masjid, I had to give him condolences. Him and his brother just got into a fight outside the masjid because their brother was telling him, just come to the masjid. It was just something ridiculous. He told me the story. His brother leaves the car, he goes to park. By the time he comes to the masjid, the shooter was leaving, his brother was shaheed. كل عمل كرهت الموت لأجله فاتركه اليوم. Any situation, any state, any act that you won't be proud of doing, when death comes, stop it right now. The second thing is a statement of a Sahabi, Hassan bin Ali radiyallahu anhuma. He used to say, "Man kana yawmahu mutasawiyan, fahuwa fi khusran." Anyone, I'll translate it a little differently to make you understand. He says the greatest loser on this earth is the one whose 2 days are equal in terms of good deeds. You can profit, this year can be better, you can live in a bigger house, better house, but actually the greatest loser, according to him in this statement, is the one whose 2 days in terms of good deeds are equal. Look, I'll give you an example. 30 years ago, our parents came from a different country and they were living in a studio apartment. My father and mother, with 5 kids in a studio apartment. And my father is becoming a doctor. All right, 25 years later, things look much different. All of his children have their own homes, they're driving their own cars, and even his kids are becoming doctors. The question now is, if I try to compare my life today to what it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was a senior in high school, okay? Someone asked me, what are you doing? I'm a senior in high school. 5 years later, I'm in the first year of med school. So much has changed in 5 years. Has your sajda changed in 5 years? If I compare my sajda that I just performed in Asr today to the sajda I prayed 5 years ago, would it be the same or is it a little bit different? Have I learned any more du'as in 5 years? Has my knowledge of Allah increased? Has my tajweed gotten better? Think of small things. Even if we learned one dua a year, I would have learned more du'as by today. So true gain in benefit is the one who starts thinking that every day has to be better. Every day has to be better. Because the Prophet used to make dua, Allahumma ja'al khayra ayyami yawma alqaka fihi. Oh Allah, make every single day of mine better till the last day of my life is the best day of my life. Guys, I want you to say mashallah. Say mashallah. I can't hear you guys. Say mashallah. I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max. I don't want ain. Say mashallah. Why? What's wrong with the 14? What's wrong with the 13? The day the iPhone comes out, my phone gets possessed. Something is wrong with my phone. I think it's getting slow. This is the nature of a human being. Women, I'm talking to you. My wife is even here. I might not go home tonight, but what happens? You went to a wedding and you wore a certain dress. The next wedding, you don't want to wear the same dress, even though it's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. I said, this is a beautiful dress, costs $1,000. No, I can't wear it again. Because this person might be there and she saw me at the last wedding, I was wearing that dress. Okay? We have our own issues. Men have our own issues. But this is an issue. This is actually the nature of a human being. We like new things. We like progression. It's okay, do that. Wallahi, I'm not telling you to stop. Use that same mindset with good deeds. Just like you won't be okay with wearing the same dress at 2 weddings, don't be okay with having the same exact night of Laylatul Qadr 2 straight years. It should be different. This year should be far better than last year. These 10 days of Dhul Hijjah should be far better than last 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, of last year. But why is it so that if you ask someone who's married, the best days of their marriage are their first days of their marriage? But a person who's close to Allah, wallahi al-azim, the last few days, the moments they're living in are the best few days. So the second tip is progress. Every single day, increase, and inshallah the last day of our life will be the best day of our life. And I'll conclude with the last tip of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is from the Prophet ﷺ's hadith. This is a beautiful, beautiful statement when someone asked him, Ansihni wa awjiz, give me advice and make it concise. The last advice he gave was, إِذَا قُمْتَ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَصَلِّ صَلَاةَ مُوَدَّعٍ. And I'm translating it first, but I'll explain it because people don't explain the hadith. When you stand for salah, stand as if this is your final prayer. What does that mean actually? Ibn Hajar says, this is not for hasr, that this hadith is only for salah. No, have the mindset. Now I'm going to tell you what it means. Anything that you're doing in your life, prepare your mind to believe that this potentially could be the last time I'm doing this. You're sitting in front of me right now. You're sitting at this conference. What happens to us is we know, inshallah, RS is coming in December. Sister Yasmin is going to have a conference, a course over here. Miftah is going to come there. But if you start thinking that this potentially could be your last time listening to a talk, you would listen differently. Have you ever seen, may Allah protect us, have you ever seen, I've seen in my life, a father or mother being told by the doctor, sir, you can now walk into your son's hospital room and you can pay your last rites to him. Because he's in stage 4 cancer, we're going to pull the plug. The father and mother walk in, I'm sitting there, standing there. Tell me the truth. Do you think the father's on his phone? Do you think the mother's on their phone? Do you think they're having a conversation like the way we do at a dinner table with our loved ones? Not our enemies, with our loved ones. We're sitting on a dinner table looking at our phones. We're so present, but at the same time still so absent. Because we are taking this encounter for granted that we'll have it again. But if you believe that this, not possibly, very well could be the last time you're sitting with that person, you will sit with that person differently. It could be the last time you're sitting next to your husband or your wife. If your loved ones are sitting next to you, look at them properly. You never know. And that last, I'll tell you something. People say your first impression is your last impression. I, based on my brother's life, say your last impression is your lasting impression. Because people remember what they did last with you when someone leaves this world. My brother, Abdul Rahim, and I'm going to finish, they told me I can take 5 extra minutes. My brother, I was at my mother's house, and I was leaving from my mom's room to the front entrance. I walked in from the garage. My youngest brother noticed that I forgot that I walked in from the garage and my shoes were in the garage door. So he ran to the garage, picked up my shoes, ran to me before I got to the front door of my mother's house. He was 22 years old. As soon as I got to my mother's entrance, I realized my shoes weren't there. At that same moment, he lowered himself and put the shoes down next to my feet. I put my arm around him. I said, Abdul Rahim, you're a sheikh now. You do not need to do this anymore. He said to me, you're still my older brother. Brothers and sisters, I never saw him again. He passed away the next morning. Your last impression is your lasting impression. That's what lasts in your heart. That him saying to me, you're still my older brother. Him serving me in those last moments. That's what's going to actually last in people's memories. So the last moment, and I'll say this and I'll conclude with this. My student, I don't like to share names, but I'll say his name. His name is Yunib. And I was with him in Rawda in Masjid Nabwi. He's never been there before. He comes there, I'm standing here, he's standing here, and next to him is the Hujurat of the Prophet ﷺ. So we're right next to the Hujra, next to the gate of the Prophet ﷺ where his grave is. He gets there and he's told that whatever dua you make in Rawdah will be accepted. You know what he does? He raises his hands. Oh Allah, oh Allah, oh Allah, I want to die in this prayer. Oh Allah, take my soul in this prayer. And I'm next to him and said, bro, chill. Yo, chill. You know why? I'm married to his sister. I was gonna come back home. All right? I was like, bro, chill. And Sheikh Naveed knows Yunib. Oh Allah, take my soul, take my soul. And I'm like, but I didn't say anything to him. He prayed salah. He's still alive, guys, by the way. Unfortunately, he's still around. I still got to deal with him. So he finished his prayer, and I said, subhanAllah, I didn't say anything to him. I went to the hotel, and he's mad. He says, I thought all my du'as were going to be accepted. I made dua to die. Why am I still alive? So I had to go through that whole workshop of how your dua can be accepted in many different ways. You know the one you hear all the time? That one. I had to go through, this is how your dua can be accepted, this is how your dua can be accepted. And then after I went through the whole thing, made him comfortable, I asked him a question. I said, Yunib, please tell me about that prayer. Because he believed that was his last prayer. He told me, Mufti Saab, I thought every time I moved in ruku, I thought I was going to die. I got up, I thought I was going to die. He said, Mufti Saab, that was the best prayer of my life. Brothers and sisters, the third tip is do everything as if this is your last time doing it. Because if you do it in that manner, inshallah, that will be a great way to leave this world. Allah give us a great death in husn al-khatimah. Jazakallah khair.